Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, but something is missing? Maybe you're tired. Tired of explaining yourself. Tired of chasing people. Tired of the noise. Well, what if I told you the answer isn't outside? The answer is to go quiet. To turn your attention inward. Today, we're talking about how focusing only on yourself and staying silent can completely change your life. Let's dive in. Why do we care so much about what others think? It's strange, isn't it? How we wake up every day and almost immediately think about others. What will they think of me if I do this? What will they say if I fail? Will they laugh? Will they support me? We live like we're on a stage, like we're performing, and the world is the audience. But here's the truth. No one is really watching as closely as you think. People are busy. They're thinking about themselves just like you are. So why waste so much energy worrying about being judged? Focusing only on yourself is not about being selfish. It's about realizing that your life, your growth, your peace, it all begins when you stop giving your power away to opinions. The moment you stop caring about outside noise is the moment you start hearing your voice again. What happens when you go silent? Silence is uncomfortable at first. We're used to talking, explaining, proving, and defending. But when you decide to stay silent, something powerful starts to happen. You begin to notice the world more clearly. You begin to hear what people really mean when they speak. You start to see who respects you for your presence, and who only respects you when you talk. When you go silent, you become mysterious. People don't know what you're thinking, and that gives you power. Not fake power, not manipulation, but inner control. You're not reacting. You're observing. You're learning. And in that silence, your confidence starts to grow, quietly. The more silent you become, the more you realize you don't need to explain your journey. You just need to keep walking it. Is it weak to focus only on yourself? Some people will tell you you've changed. They'll say you've become distant, cold, or selfish. But the truth is, you've become focused. You're not ignoring people. You're ignoring distractions. You're not silent because you're lost. You're silent because you're found. You've stopped chasing conversations that go nowhere. You've stopped trying to be understood by people who don't want to understand. Focusing only on yourself means you finally see your worth. It means you've stopped measuring your value by how useful or entertaining you are to others. And that scares people, especially the ones who liked you better when you doubted yourself. But you don't owe anyone the old version of you. You're allowed to grow. You're allowed to protect your peace. And most of all, you're allowed to stay silent while you do it. Have you ever been in a room where someone just can't stop talking? It's like they're afraid of silence. Like if they stop talking, they'll disappear. Some people talk to fill a space. Others talk to hide their insecurity. They think if they say enough, maybe they'll sound smart. Maybe they'll impress someone. Maybe they'll belong. But you don't need to talk just to be seen. You don't need to speak just to prove you matter. Your presence is enough. Your energy, your focus, your self-respect. These things speak louder than noise ever could. The most powerful people I've ever met speak less. But when they speak, every word carries weight. Because they've learned that silence is strength. And attention? That comes naturally when you don't beg for it. Can silence be a superpower? Yes. Silence can be your greatest weapon, not against people, but against distractions. When you learn how to sit with your thoughts, when you stop rushing to share every plan, every goal, every update, you become harder to shake. You protect your energy. You stop feeding conversations that drain you. You stop reacting to opinions that don't matter. Silence isn't emptiness, it's clarity. It helps you focus, reflect, and reset. It helps you stay calm in a noisy world. People may wonder what you're thinking. Let them wonder. You don't owe anyone access to your mind. Let your silence protect your peace, and your peace protect your growth. Why should you stop explaining yourself all the time? Because every time you explain, you're trying to be understood, and not everyone wants to understand you. Some people ask questions not to learn, but to judge. Some people want details just to gossip later. Explaining yourself to the wrong people is like watering a plant that's already dead. It drains you. It leaves you empty. And in the end, nothing grows. You're not here to convince anyone. You're here to become yourself. From now on, try this. Say less, do more. Let your actions speak. Let your progress explain. And if someone doesn't get it, that's okay. Your journey isn't a group project. It's yours. Why is focusing only on yourself not selfish? We grow up thinking that putting ourselves first is wrong, that we should always help others, always be available, always be nice. But there's a difference between kindness and self-abandonment. When you focus only on yourself, you're not ignoring the world. You're healing your world. You're fixing what's broken inside. You're cleaning the mental noise. You're learning to be your friend before being a friend to others. You can't pour from an empty cup. And if you keep giving without recharging, you'll burn out. So, take care of your peace. Protect your energy. The more full you are inside, the more powerfully you can show up for others and yourself. What happens when you stop responding to drama? Silence kills drama. Drama lives on reaction. It needs attention to survive. But the moment you stop feeding it, it starves. You don't need to fight every battle. You don't need to answer every insult. You don't need to explain your silence. Sometimes, your best response is nothing. Let them talk. Let them assume. Let them wait for a reaction that never comes. That's how you win. That's how you stay in control. That's how you protect your time, your peace, and your mind. Why should you keep your goals private? Because not everyone claps when you win. Some people only ask what you're doing so they can secretly hope you fail. When you keep your goals to yourself, you give them time to grow. You protect them from negativity, judgment, and comparison. You keep them sacred. Talk less, move more. Let your results introduce you. Let your work do the talking. Because when you're focused on you, not the noise, nothing can stop you. Why do you feel so tired around certain people? Because not everyone deserves your energy. Some people don't listen, they wait to speak. Some people don't care, they compete. When you're always the one giving advice, support, and attention, you start to feel empty. You feel used. And worst of all, you feel unseen. So what do? You go silent. You pull your energy back. You stop chasing connections with people who only notice you when they need something. Protect your space. You're not hard to love. You're just done performing. Why is inner peace louder than words? Because true peace doesn't need to prove anything. It just is. It shows in your walk. It lives in your eyes. It speaks without sound. When you stop reacting, when you stop explaining, when you stop performing, people feel your peace. They notice the difference. They may not understand it, but they'll feel it. That's the beauty of silence. It makes people listen even when you're not saying a word. How can you train your mind to focus only on you? Start by noticing how often your mind leaves your life. How often does it think about what they said? How often does it worry about what they think? Now, Gently bring it back. Breathe. Focus on your breath. Then ask, what do I need right now? You don't need to know their opinion. You don't need to check their profile. You don't need their permission. The more often you bring your mind back to you, the more powerful your focus becomes. It's not selfish, it's survival. Why do some people fear your silence? Because they can't read you anymore. They don't know what you're thinking. They can't predict you, control you, or use you. Your silence makes them uncomfortable. But that's not your problem. It's their insecurity, not your responsibility. You're not here to make people feel safe in your silence. You're here to feel safe in your skin. What can you hear when the world goes quiet? Everything. You hear your voice again, your real desires, your true goals, not the ones you copied from others. Silence clears the noise. It helps you separate what's yours from what was pushed on you. It gives you space to feel again. In that silence, you'll meet the real you. And that's where transformation begins. What happens when you stop seeking validation is powerful. You stop waiting. You stop adjusting who you are to get someone's approval. You stop asking, did I do enough? Was that okay? Do they like me? And instead, you start asking better questions. Do I like who I'm becoming? Am I proud of myself? Is this true to me? The truth is, most people are too busy thinking about themselves to notice your mistakes, so why live for their opinion? When you stop chasing validation, you start building real confidence. Not the kind that comes from applause, but the kind that stays even in silence. Why is it okay to outgrow people? Because growth means change, and not everyone is meant to walk with you forever. You may find yourself wanting deeper conversations, more peace, more purpose, and less drama. But some people still live where you used to be, and they'll try to pull you back. That's when silence becomes necessary, not because you hate them, but because you're choosing you now. And you don't owe anyone an explanation for growing. You're not being cold. You're just protecting the new version of you, the one that took years to build. How do you know you're finally focused on yourself? You stop watching other people's lives like a movie. You stop comparing your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 20. You start showing up for your own goals every single day. You stop caring who's watching. You stop explaining your plans. You stop rushing results. You begin to move differently, calmly, quietly, consistently. And that's the secret. No drama, no noise, just you and the work. What if they don't understand the new you? Let them not understand. It's not your job to make sense to people who only know your past. You're allowed to grow. You're allowed to heal. You're allowed to change direction. And some people won't like that. They like the version of you that was always available, always apologizing, always proving something. But that version is gone. You don't need to convince them you're better now. Just be better quietly, strongly, on your terms. What happens when you embrace your lane? You stop running races that aren't meant for you. You stop chasing what looks popular and start building what feels right. You stop performing. You start creating. You stop worrying who's ahead and start walking with purpose. The moment you stop comparing paths is the moment you create your own. And that's how leaders are born. Not from noise, not from attention, but from deep, quiet focus on one thing: becoming your best self. Why is focusing only on yourself and staying silent a mindset for growth? Because when you focus only on yourself, you take your power back. You stop wasting time on people, drama, distractions, and noise. You return to your center. You remember who you are, what you want, and why you started. And when you stay silent, You give your progress a safe place to grow. No pressure, no eyes watching, just you, your effort, and your peace. This mindset, focus, and silence is how you build real transformation. No shortcuts, no show, just inner work leading to outer results. You don't have to be loud to make an impact. Sometimes, the most powerful growth happens in silence. If you're listening to this and thinking, yes, this is the season I need to focus only on myself and stay silent, then know this. You're not being selfish. You're being intentional. You're choosing peace, focus, real progress. Let the world keep talking. You've got things to build. You've got healing to do. You've got a future that needs your full attention. Thank you for spending this time with me. Stay strong.
Your progress doesn't end here. To continue advancing your English skills, click on the next video or explore the additional video that we thoughtfully selected for you.